Well, Gavin Newsom wants all the criminals to have more rights than you and the victims in LA County specifically. He has endorsed George Gascón for LA County DA, saying that Gascón reduced crime and incarceration in San Francisco because they stopped arresting people and putting them away. So that's really the math on that.
Everybody can use statistics in any way they want.
Exactly.
And that's clearly what has happened.
Michele Hanisee is president of the Association of LA Deputy DAs, and she has some thoughts on the matter. What do you think is going to happen to the DA's office if this guy got power, Michele?
Well, it's going to turn into what San Francisco turned into, where there's needles all over the street and you need an app to keep track of where the human feces are. And they have a violent crime rate 54% higher than the rest of the state.
How can Gavin Newsom say that crime is down in San Francisco?
Well, Gavin Newsom can say anything he wants to, can he? But we know that he likes George Gascón. He named him chief of San Francisco Police Department and then subsequently appointed him district attorney when Mr. Gascón has zero criminal law experience, zero legal experience whatsoever.
You put out a release this week that also referred to George Gascón and a history of hiding evidence. What's going on with that, and what does his history look like?
Well, he's had a number of scandals in his history. He has a $400,000 settlement against him for retaliating against whistleblowers in his office who reported him to the federal authorities for violating federal aviation law by flying with guns. He also had a big scandal under his authority as the San Francisco chief of police with their crime lab that he's in charge of, doing very funky things with DNA reporting, and it got discovered during a criminal trial. And then he was appointed the district attorney of San Francisco, and he basically doubled down and tried to suppress this memo written by an employee of the DA's office who's a DNA expert who said this needs to be turned over, who told the media this needs to be turned over. And George Gascón wanted to hide this exculpatory information from criminal defendants against whom it was being used.
Why does he have so much political capital? Like, why does he keep getting these positions? I know now in 2020, it's very in vogue for law and order to be super progressive and to care more about the criminals in California than about victims or everyday law-abiding citizens. And I get it now, but it seems like he was given these positions over a series of years. Why, if he was so unqualified for everything?
Well, he's good. He's a good politician, but that's what he is. He's a politician. And he changes his tune to suit his audience and the political flavor of the moment. The irony is, when Gascón named him police chief back in 2009, he called him a cop's cop. And they both doubled down on San Francisco's sit-lie ordinance, which criminalized homelessness. Would you see either of them owning up to that now?
Yeah, I don't imagine that those two guys would wear that on their sleeves anytime soon.
Well, that's it. Gascón changes his tune to suit the flavor of the moment. He advocates transparency of police records, but he refuses to release his own LAPD personnel records. He supports defund the police now, but you heard from former Chief Bernard Parks, who said that when Gascón was on the LAPD review board, he was known as the one who went soft on officers accused of excessive force. Of course, we know it was Gascón's refusal when he was the DA of San Francisco, refusal to charge the police officer in the shooting of Mario Woods that started Colin Kaepernick's whole protest. And as San Francisco DA, he never prosecuted a single police officer shooting. So he changes his messaging to fit the moment.
This war on Jackie Lacey really pisses me off as well, because she has done a great job and she has gotten so much unfair attention from people who believe that she doesn't care about the Black Lives Matter movement, that she hasn't done enough for underserved communities, which is complete crap. And it all goes back to the Buck investigation, where there just wasn't evidence to charge in that case as those crimes were piling up.
You're referring to Ed Buck.
Yeah, what'd I say?
No, you're right.
Did I call him Joe Buck again?
No, you said Buck, but I wanted to make sure it was Ed Buck.
All right.
Well, that's the problem. That really is Jackie's problem. Is she's not a politician. She is a prosecutor. She has integrity. She's honest, and she doesn't pander, and she follows the law. And those are the very things Gascón is attacking her on, because he doesn't care about following the law. He wants to do what logo on her Zoom background during some public interviews. Well, if even the LA Times consulted election law experts and said this accusation is dubious, is what they call it. And basically the experts said, Gascón doesn't understand election law. And if you doubt that at all, you have to know he got fined $4,000 for violating election law ethical rules when he was running for DA in San Francisco. And his excuse back then was, I didn't know it was illegal. So clearly he doesn't know the law, which is frightening since he wants to be the district attorney in charge of enforcing the law.
I'm very skeptical of people who rise through the ranks and get jobs that they are not qualified for. What are they doing that is so dirty behind the scenes to be getting these posts? And in fact, when he got to be DA of San Francisco, he had to call the LA County DA's office and say, how do I do this? What am I doing here?
That's right. I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing. And when he thought he might have to prosecute a police officer, he asked the LA district attorney, because the LA office has prosecuted police officers in the past. And that's the thing. The problem is if you vote for Gascón, you don't know what you're voting for.
That's a good point. Michele, thank you.
My pleasure as always. You guys take care.
You too. Michele Hanisee.
Can we stop saying things in stereo?
I'm sorry. I just thought that would be comforting for her. Michele Hanisee, president of the Association of LA Deputy DAs. This whole thing about Gavin Newsom being all in with George Gascón does not make any sense to me. Considering the job that he's running for as district attorney in the county of Los Angeles is a law and order position. And the majority of the things that he wants to do would strip away the foundations of law and order.